Hi, welcome.
We're just hanging out together.
We are. There is a huge
Oh my God.
storm warning here in New Brunswick.
Well, not a warning anymore. It's
actually
yeah.
It's the last 24 hours they gave us the warning, and it's in effect right now. It's supposed to be finished tomorrow morning. But is it ever windy? And the dog will go to the mountain.
So the dog, I said, Shannon, should I take the dog out before we go on? She said, oh yeah, you have to. So we went on there, and this huge drift of snow and wind just came.
And he was like, hello, and back in.
Nor'easter, baby. So of course, Boston's dealing with this in a lot of the east coast of the United States and in Canada. So, and here we are, nice and warm though.
Yes.
Nice and warm.
Angel says, hi John, hi Shannon.
Hey,
hi.
How are you? Welcome, you're the first person on.
We've got our little puppy dog behind us.
Yeah, he's shell-shocked. Oh, look at him.
Just in behind your chair, look.
Look at that.
Hey, Rudy.
Oh, hold on.
Rudy.
There he is. There he is. There he is.
What a good boy. So cute.
I know. He doesn't want to go outside. He was playing with a puppy female golden retriever today in our neighborhood. Just was having a heck of a time. Very scared because the golden retriever, being a golden retriever, was aggressive but big fun teddy bear. So.
Wes says, Happy New Year all.
Happy New Year.
Soulful Music 100. Good evening.
Hey,
people.
Soulful Music. Nice to have you back.
Christopher, hi. Happy New Year to you
both.
Hi, Christopher. Hi. So yes, here we are, the first week into 2022.
Biggest storm we've had so far this year here, and I think it is. I called my mother. We're in southeast of New Brunswick, and she's northeast, and they're having the storm too, and it's crazy. So, but you know, we came from Alberta. We're used to storms.
We've actually been really fortunate here because we haven't had the frigid temperatures like Alberta has in the past 2 weeks. It's been crazy.
And the West Coast in Vancouver and BC, they've had a crazy winter so far. And we met in Vancouver when we both lived in Vancouver in '97. And how long were you in Vancouver?
Probably a good, 6-7 years on and off.
Yeah, I was there from '89 to 2000, 2002 we left? Yeah.
To go out, yeah.
Yeah, because of our daughter who's over there, who's autistic, and she needed funding. So Shannon looked at me, she says, we're moving, our daughter needs funding. I said, I'm moving, I work for the #1 station in Vancouver. It's taking me a lot of work to get here. And she says, it's for our daughter. I went, oh yeah.
And the great thing was, you just took it with you. So you were able to record in any province we were in, so it worked out really well. Even now, here
I just did the show.
Across the country.
After all these years, I'm still doing that show.
Matt says, Happy New Year.
Hey, Matt.
Angel says, hopefully we'll have a better year than last year. We lost so many artists last year.
We did, and it's just going to get worse and worse. It has to, because they're getting older and older. I mean, I hate to dumb it down with math, but I mean, that's what it is. So I think we're going to lose a lot more people this year. We were just doing a thing. We just did a video a little while ago on ages. I actually should have brought it up. We're going through the ages of some of the big rock stars. And, you know, it's sobering to look at that in 20 years, we might not be here, you know, she's younger, but I'm almost 62.
I always like to ask the question, what are your New Year's resolutions for 2022? What do you have that you think you'd like to work on, implement, tone down? Everybody always
let go.
Yeah.
You know, it's that season. One of my good friends, Dawn, she's a friend of both of ours, and she just wrote a thing on New Year's resolutions. She said, it's better to at least have this is what the gist of her story is, just better to have one and not have one. I mean, you might as well just fish. You know, if you keep it up for a couple of months, or for me, sometimes it's been 1 month. It's at least a good month of doing something, I think, constructive.
Angel says, yes, I was surprised that Michael...
What's that? Oh, that's the plow.
Yeah.
Hear that?
Plowing. Angel says, only one monkey left. Mickey Dolan's.
Oh, you know what? That went right over my head. I wasn't even thinking that. I was thinking a monkey. What do you mean a monkey? I'm going, the monkeys, of course. Not spelled like monkey, but anyway. Long story. I don't know. We've been doing a lot of specials. Shannon's been writing a lot of the what we did a thing on, what was the last one you wrote? The artists who with famous dads.
Yes.
And what was the one before that?
Or with famous parents.
Yeah, with famous parents. And there's that list is long. We're also doing a list of artists whose parents didn't really like music. With that one, and this is for another channel, Rock History Book. With that one, we're going to do, I think, mostly interviews. Because, you know, as a lot of you might have noticed when I do my interviews, I always ask everyone, did your parents get it? You know, it's an old question, but it lights them up. If they're bored in an interview, ask them about their childhood or something that you, just that high point. When did you know you made it? You know, it's that thing where you have to maneuver with an artist of going, okay, he doesn't want to be here. Sometimes that happens. And you try to grab them and just let them know I'm not going to ask you the same 10 questions. But even those questions by themselves are similar questions. But if you come at it with some kind of, you know, emotional understanding, they'll wake up a little bit and they'll go, oh yeah. So anyway, one of them is artists whose parents didn't like music, and we're going to have just interviews for that one.
Pookie says,
Pookie Martinez?
tell Backman and Randy Backman.
Oh, yes, that's a really good one. We could use that one. I still haven't gotten back to Backman's people. I just want, during the holidays, like today, we contacted Janice Ian's group and David Johnston of the Elton John band. He's just released a new album. You know, he's been guitarist for Elton all the way through since, I think, Mad Men Across the Water, if I remember correctly. Yeah, Mad Men was his first. So I contacted that company to get an interview with him. And he's one of those guys with Davey. You'd say, can you please, I'll never ask for anything again. You got to give me an hour. And hopefully we'll be able to chat.
Christopher says, Carl Palmer seemed kind of cranky.
He didn't want to do the interview. But it has nothing to do with me, and I don't take it personally. I first didn't get the interview, and then his publicist for the ELP book basically said, no, I think it's important. We should really push this book. So I'll ask him again. I went, sure, okay. And I could tell it's not on the interview, but he's okay. He's allowed not to want to do an interview. I don't feel like doing this every day. And so he just said, okay, let's get on with it, like that. And I went, oh, okay, sure. But he gave me a great interview, I think, for the most part. He answered the questions, you know. It's just in the beginning he was a little short, but then he started to soften up. You know, I actually was thinking about him when I said that a while ago about an artist who sometimes doesn't want to be there. I felt self-conscious with a few artists, but it doesn't happen. Bill Bruford, I did. For no reason. Bill was really nice, but I just started going, oh God. Now it's like rediscovering your fridge. I went, I'm talking to Bill Bruford. And that never happens to me, because as you can tell from my interviews, I don't get scared of them. I'm just right there with them.
Calvin says, good evening from Cleveland, Ohio.
Hey, Cleveland. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Yeah. Any of you guys having bad weather? Because our weather is just so bad. It's strange, you know, we're all in these safe little houses that we live in, and or apartments or townhouses or wherever, or high rises. I remember in Vancouver, I was living, remember I told you I lived on Beach Avenue before I met you? A few years before I met Shannon, I lived on this 21st floor. I can't imagine living on the 21st floor now, because I couldn't do it.
I can't imagine you living on a 21st floor.
Because I had problems with heights, you know? And a big storm came into Vancouver and that winter, and I remember going, do I feel the high-rise move? And I don't think I really did. I know on a earthquake day you could in Vancouver. You sometimes could. But did you ever feel an earthquake in Vancouver while you were there?
I can't say that I have.
I was in bed with an ex, and I felt the bed shake, and I went, that's the kind of service you get around here. And she went, that's not funny. That was an earthquake. I went, okay, no. See, she's so not a jealous bone in her body. She doesn't care yet, whatever.
Pookie says, love the Mark Stein interview, learning so much of Vanilla Fudge. I do have Tommy Bolin and Mark Stein live CDs.
Oh, cool. Yeah. He speaks. Hi, Danica. You okay? We're always at the beck and call of our beautiful autistic 23-year-old, because she's sometimes a little, we call it munchy, which means nothing about grumpiness, but that's our word. You know how, do you ever have words in your house where the word doesn't, what's that thing we eat, that candy, that stuff in Costco? We call it crunch and munch. It's not crunch and munch. We just ended up calling it. So when she's like that, we'll tell people, oh, she's getting munchy, and they go, she's hungry? I said, no, that's just the word we use.
Ruben said another atmospheric river for you guys.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's been an interesting ride. We say it every couple of days or every day for us that moving here will go, we moved across the country during COVID. Like across the country, both cars, a big steel box.
4,775 kilometers.
Is that it?
It's a long ways away.
Oh.
A long
Shannon's a numbers girl. Hi Danica, we're having a good time. You happy? Okay. I know. You want to come say hi? Come say hi. Yeah, we'll have to cut it short if she's munchy.
Wayne says, have you ever heard of the 70s band called Captain Beyond?
No, I haven't. Are they on Spotify? I'm gonna go write it down and I'll go check on it. Hold on, Shannon, you just read out questions. Captain, was it Captain Beyond? Is that what he said? Captain?
Yeah, the 70s band Captain
I'll write
Beyond.
it down. Danica, I'm gonna take a pencil, okay?
Sue says, hi John and Shannon, it's 18 degrees in Virginia, it's supposed to be around 0 Saturday morning.
Oh, is that right? Captain Beyond, I'm gonna write that down. You know what, one of the things that I do, and I didn't always do this, but since I've been on YouTube, I certainly have is, look, I'm not there, now I am. Is when I see a video that I'm not familiar with, you want chips later? Oh, okay, Mom's gonna have to fix it. What? Oh, she took it off? Oh, she's a hangnail person. She has OCD in that way, and so we're not sure how long we're going to be able to do this because maybe what?
Better?
Okay. There you go.
Thank you. Okay, so Wayne says, saw Captain Beyond open for Sabbath at Hollywood Bowl. Great first album. So
were they? They must have been a heavier type of rock than if they were opening for Sabbath. Yeah, anybody opening for Black Sabbath, I would think so. But I'll look them up. There was a couple of bands in the last few days. I must say, I've just been listening to Duke by Genesis the last 3-4 days, really loud, eh? Because I got these new JBL speakers. And I got them for a steal because I can't really afford to buy expensive speakers right now. I'm going to put it back into the company, into the channel. And then I bought a cheap used Yamaha receiver, and I've just been going, I've been missing out on all this music. Even though I've always had okay stereos, but this is probably the best stereo I ever had.
Pookie says Captain Beyond is a supergroup. Iron Butterfly, Deep Purple, and Johnny Winter, former employees.
Oh, I might have written something about them then when we had the rock history books. Yeah. We probably have a file or we had this big classic rock website which was called Rock History Book, which is not even our main channel because rock history music's our main channel. But what I wanted to, and then we did it was music news every single day. And then we decided, well, Shannon and I said, well, we should do a radio station. And we did it until the conflict of interest thing with the radio station I worked, even though it wasn't direct competition, I wasn't really allowed to do an internet radio station. So before they told me not to, I just shut it down. So we used to write things about more obscure bands and supergroups and stuff like that. So we did a feature on a couple of supergroups. A lot of them I didn't know about.
Jose says hi from Brazil.
Hey, Jose, thank you for hanging up.
Lux Deco, thanks for your videos with Andy Scott from Sweet. The Sweet got ripped off big time.
Yeah, they're one of the. Hold on a second. Sweet, I'm writing it down because I want to talk to Andy again. A lot of artists have more time now because of the troubles with COVID. They're going, well, I'm hanging around for another couple of months. I go through veins of not wanting to talk to anybody, and veins of time where I keep thinking, oh, I don't want to interview that guy again. That guy was perfectly fine, wherever that guy is. But I'll go through these stages where I'm going, yeah, I don't want to interview someone I've already interviewed. And then I'll go back and I'll go, yeah, but he was really fun. You know, but most of the time I'll just go, let's. But I go through these times of just not wanting to I don't want to do interviews right now unless something big comes up, and I'll go, yes, please.
Lori Baldazzi says, Happy New Year. I've been listening to Lou Graham, Early Foreigner Live, such a voice. Have you interviewed him?
No, I have not. Lori got me in touch with Eddie Money. And who was the other one? It was there's so many people that hook me up with artists that sometimes I'll forget. But anyway, Lori has a new podcast. Lori, what's the name of your podcast again? Check it out. It's for women over 60. Lori, I'm going to hook you up with someone I know. The lady I just talked about, Dawn, she's got a website for being over 60 and being a woman. And I told her about your thing. I don't know if she's, we're going to have a fun time.
And so Wes says you need to interview Andy Scott of The Sweet. They're back on tour. They have a new LP.
But I did. I already did. Long 2.5 hour interview. But having said that, I'd like to interview him again. I'm going to get her some chips. Should I get her some chips? Yeah. You know how when she was a baby and we didn't think she was autistic, like she was 2, 3, and we were living in Vancouver in this little apartment. And then after a while, we realized that she wasn't hitting her markers. So we got a speech pathologist, which most people do. Our autistic daughter, I'm talking about if you just came on. She's 23 now. She's just having a rough night. She wasn't until we came on. So sometimes, hi Danica, I love you. You want some chips? So anyway, she's just having a night. When I go on you can do an interview, I'll be downstairs. We have a really nice walkout basement in this house. We're on a hill, and it's really bright. So when I do an interview, we've got like a big window there and a big window there and a patio beside me. But so I can't hear her, and so I use a directional microphone. So if she would shout, which I warned all the neighbors about when we moved here a few months ago, I said if you ever hear our daughter shouting really loud, she's just having a bad day. We're not trying to kill her. And they all said no, we haven't heard anything. But I said yeah, but you know, chances are if we live here long enough, you might hear. It doesn't happen very often, and you basically have to be outside. But that's kind of we all have stuff, right? And that's kind of the world. That's kind of the world we live in. So we're dealing with that. I mean, let me see what you. Oh, anyone 50 plus. Okay, Lori says seniors. Yes, senior views. That's the name of the. You can get it on YouTube. Lori, if you want to put I don't know if you can. Will they let you put a link on here? Lori does a great job. Never stop doing that podcast. So if it's anyone 50 plus, yeah. You got to talk to Dawn. She'd be a great guest. She was in IT sort of things, and now she's actually writing about being over 60. I actually went to high school with her. I actually dated her in high school. But Shannon's a good friend of hers now too.
Hike with Mike says, hey folks, Surfer Boy John, I saw a video about Chip Douglas that produced the Monkees. Have you interviewed him?
No, there's the line, and I was just saying sometimes I don't feel like doing interviews, but there's a part of me that says you better get to it or you start losing people. And there's just a long list of people that I want to talk to. So anyway.
Charles Kaufman, any thoughts?
Charles?
Any thoughts on the recent Genesis tour that was in North America?
Well, I wouldn't see it, but nothing against the guys. I love the guys. I love the original. I like Daryl Sturmer. I mean, Daryl and I were kind of close in about 12 years. No, when was it? When I was at the Breeze, how long ago was that?
2006 to 2008.
Yeah, I was a program director at the station that played AAA and smooth jazz and some new age. What a combination that was. But Daryl was doing his jazz stuff. Daryl Sturmer, the guitarist for Genesis, who replaced Steve Hackett, but not as a full-time member, as a touring member. And he's Phil Collins, the guitarist as well. So anyway, he was releasing a lot of jazz, and I kept interviewing him. He just was available when he was off the road. So I got to know him a little bit, and a really nice guy. So I like all the guys. I've never talked to the original 3, though Steve Hackett I've interviewed, I think 8 times, and Anthony Phillips as well. So I wouldn't have seen them because I've seen them twice, the self-titled Genesis album, the one with Mama, and the Duke Tour, which is one of my favorite albums. I saw them twice, and they were amazing.
Lucinda says, I just saw recently that Andy Summers turned 78 this year. I never would have guessed that.
Everyone was saying the same thing. Everyone that posted it, it seemed like, not everyone, but a lot of people were saying, "Can you believe it?" So he'd be a good one. I met Andy and Stuart and Sting in 1980s Zenyatta Mandata tour. They were doing it was their first North American big tour, and we saw them in concert. So before the show, they did a meet and greet, and they were crazy. They were just bordering on rude, but they were fun at the same time. They were just crazy, young people.
Alan says hello from Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Hey, Alan.
Hi, Alan. John asked, hear anything on the Bachman album they were working on?
No. I know they did some. He did some shows. You're talking about with his son, right? They were with Tal. I saw them doing some songs. I don't know. If I talk to Randy, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I'll ask him. I just saw a picture with Randy and Kenny Loggins and some radio people today, and I thought, man, I remember when we all looked like that. Not that we looked like Kenny with Randy or Kenny Loggins, but we had that kind of fresh, younger look. Kind of your look.
What?
Yeah,
Surfer Boy, I'm in the mood for some chips myself, salt and pepper. Salt and vinegar, I should say, and says you're great parents. So
thank you.
It's very sweet. And Lori says yes. I'm not sure what she was.
You have to talk to Dawn.
Okay.
Dawn would love to be a guest. Well, she hasn't actually said that, but I'll make sure she's a guest. She's a good speaker, and she's very good at her job. Of all my classmates that I went to high school with, she's probably my best friend. Well, I know she's my best friend. But she's also an amazing writer. And she's done so well for herself. Like, she's been successful.
David says, sadly, we lost Les Emerson. Saw him a few years ago with the Cooper brothers. Met him at the show. Real gentleman. Loved that tune, Watching the World Go By.
Yeah. We keep losing. Again, it's going to get worse. We're going to lose them all. And hopefully we'll still be around. We're hanging around, just doing our thing. I don't like writing obituaries, but I've gotten very good at it because I used to do it at the radio station as well. So I've been on radio almost 39 years now. So after a while, you just go, okay, cut to the meat, do the good stuff. Okay, what's special about that? You have to do these things. What is it that's special about that person? When Jim Neighbors died, we did something on Mail Sheet. And I remember going, what's special about Jim Neighbors? What's that story about Jim Neighbors? Among other things, like Chris Brown. When you see Chris Brown, you think about him beating up a woman. What do you think about when you see Jim Neighbors? That time you first saw him sing, the way he sang, and he wasn't saying, Carly, I'm going, that guy sings like that? And that touched so many people. I don't always do that. I don't always get that thing. But when you're writing a story on someone like that, you want to go, what is it? And then people that are watching the video go, yeah, that's right. A comedian does that, right?
David said, I was in touch with Richie Furay a few days ago. He was just recovering from COVID.
Oh, man. Sad to hear that. Yeah, Richie's one of my favorite interviews. I've interviewed him twice, and he was just such a gentleman. He loved to talk about, his faith. And I always, I'm not a religious person, but if that's such a big part of someone's life, you've got to. I think we didn't go off. We didn't go off.
Oh, good.
You're going to have to go tell Charles we're doing a podcast.
Okay.
That's my brother. He's, if we go on, are we frozen? Yeah. Did you get him?
No.
Just say doing a podcast really quickly before he phones. What happens is if he phones us on my phone, which I'm using right now, we will lose the feed.
Hang on a second, I'm trying to find them.
They might have fixed it by now, but we'll actually lose the feed. It'll freeze. So there you go. We usually tell them. -9 in Winnipeg right now. Pulsar light says.
And then they said actually almost like -39 in Winnipeg.
Oh, is that what it is?
It's more like -39.
Oh.
It's cold. Alex says Daryl from Genesis is great, fantastic tour.
You know what Daryl told me? The one thing, you've heard the story before. He got the job because he knew the songs. He says, I wasn't the best guitarist who walked in there. And he wouldn't tell me who else walked in there. But he says, some of the people you'd know. But they hired him because, well, I'm sure they liked him because he's such an easy guy to get along with. I mean, Michaela, his wife, I mentioned this before in these podcasts. Michaela's wife one day just called me when I was doing the afternoon drive show at the station just before I ended up being the program director of the station. Oh, thank you. Lucinda, thank you very much. Appreciate that. That's
Wishing all you guys a happy and healthy new year. Love the channels.
Thank you for that donation. Appreciate it. Super chat.
Very thoughtful.
Thank you very much. So listen. You're listening. Michaela called me up and said, "Oh, I know someone who is autistic, and she's an expert, and she's a mom, and she does research and all this stuff." And here I am on the air. I'm going. Daryl Spermer's wife I hope they're still married. It's quite a few years ago, but she was really, really nice. Yeah, they're a nice couple. But Daryl told me he watches TV with his guitar, and when a commercial comes on, he'll play along to the commercial. And he never stops just being on the guitar. He just does it all the time. That's why it's so good.
Carl, hi from Los Angeles. Who wouldn't you be caught listening to when you were younger? Mine was The Cure.
You didn't like The Cure?
Yes, that you wouldn't be caught listening to.
Oh man, what is there anybody you hated? You probably hated metal.
I was not a big heavy metal fan, so that was probably and nor was I even a country fan.
You are now.
I like new country for sure, but anything that kind of
you like what you like it. I don't know who didn't,
that you listen to less of then.
Right? I remember liking Debbie Boone, "You Light Up My Life" in spite of myself. I remember thinking I should hate this song, but it's actually, and I know what it's about God, right? And I was going out of my religious phase then, and then I went back into it, then I left it, then I have been out of it, then I went into spirituality and Buddhism, but it's, I don't know who I'd like it. You have to leave that with me. I was pretty open. I don't know if you've seen my wall. I remember showing you guys all my wall, and I had the Captain and Tennille back there, bigger than the Doobie Brothers, and it's not because I love Captain and Tennille. It's because I was running out of steam, and I said I can't write these logos anymore. It's on my wall. This is my home wall. I thought I'm gonna put a big I love the Chicago logo, Captain and Tennille, April Wines. I love when it's circular and it's got movement to it, you know.
Ruben says saw Genesis first in '82 at the CNE.
Oh, cool.
Closed with Supper's Ready.
Oh yeah, Supper's Ready. Yeah. Classic.
Chuck says, have you ever interviewed
Rick Derringer? Yeah. No, I should, because he's still with us.
How about Kathy asked Jack Douglas, ever interviewed?
No, I'd like to. We started doing a lot of producers. We should get back to it. They do well. I was surprised that producer interviews do well. I kept going because our interviews now, we're going through a lull in our channel where we know that we've been doing a very similar format. We're going to start mixing up the format a little bit because the audience gets complacent. And through attrition, no matter what, people die, people move, people have different interests. You'll lose 15% of your audience no matter what. So, but your job and our job is to make sure that we make up for that, right? So we're going to start doing, the logo is going to stay the same, but a lot of the lower thirds will be different. I'm going to give way more information now than I used to because I'm looking at my old interviews, you know, when I used to go on there and say, okay, you know, and I used to do a lot of the Professor of Rock stuff, right? And I told myself, I said, why did I stop doing that? Because I ended up having too many interviews. And I started going, we just got to put these things up. And now we also put the entire interview up when we put part one up. So people always bitching going, oh, what's wrong with you guys? I don't want these little snippets anymore. Well, we always tell people during part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if you want to see the entire interview, it's on the other channel. Here's the link. Have fun.
Paul Sir is asking, is Rush officially retired now?
Oh, yeah. I think Alex is suffering from arthritis as well. And he's working on an album. Andy Curran's working on the album with him, who was their A&M guy. And of course, he's a rocker in Canada as well. Molly Hatchet. Not Molly Hatchet. Andy Curran. What's the name of the band? I can't believe him. Got a mental block. Anyway, go on. Sorry.
Chemo says, it'd be swell to know what Steve
Coney
Harmony.
Hatch. That's what it is.
it'd be swell to know what Steve Harley, ex-Cockney Rebel, is up to currently. I know he used to have a BBC radio show a decade or so ago. Great source for glam rock stories.
Well, there's a list of about 20 people that we are always being asked about, and we're going to start digging a little deeper. I'm not sure how long I'm going to be doing this for, because every year that goes by, I keep going, well, maybe I want to do videos on movies or stuff. Not that I don't. Rock's my life. I got into radio for this. So, but I say that because there's a list of 20 people, and I don't have to say them right now, but that are lesser known but are great artists and giants in music, and we want to get those as well as the big artists that we can get. But I know I'm running out of time as far as doing this, because I don't know if I want to do this after I'm 65. I'll probably do it, but you know, I'm sounding like Elton John. He was retiring in the 70s every couple of years. Yeah, I'm sick of this.
Strong 10
It's
years
not that
later.
it's not that I'm sick of it. It's just that it's a lot of work. It's just a lot. Now my son's help. I wouldn't be doing this if my son hadn't started helping us a couple of years ago. It's just too much work.
Melody says, hey from Saskatchewan. Fraser J, hey guys, hope you're all okay. I'm just starting my own YouTube channel, so what advice would you give, and is there anything you could do differently?
Can you email me, please? If you forget, if you don't have a pen, and anyone can, anytime you want to ask me a question, go in the about section. You know, you see channels, blah blah blah. You know, the list. Go to about, and my email address is there. It's just John Beaudin, JohnBeaudin @iCloud.com. So, but even if you forget, we're in, where are we here? How long we've been on? 31. Go to the 31-minute mark of the video after you finish. If you forget, and you'll hear me say it again. So it's just John Beaudin @iCloud.com, but it's in the about section of the channel on YouTube. The email address is right there. So email me, and we'll exchange phone numbers, and I will text you. We can text back and forth. I'm not good on the phone. I don't talk on the phone very often.
Michael says, have you heard of the band The Night Flight Orchestra, a Swedish retro AOR group heavily influenced by Total Foreigner, Survivor, and Journey? The Night Flight Orchestra.
Night Flight Orchestra. Mm-hmm. Written down. Thank you. Don't know them, don't know.
Would you like to interview Terry Watkinson or Max Webster? This is from Ruben.
Well, Max Webster's not a band anymore, and I interviewed Kim Mitchell. Terry Watkinson left the band to do medical illustrations. He's very good. When I interviewed Kim Mitchell, there was a big picture behind him. I just finished watching it before I come on here. It's so weird you should ask. I asked him, Kim, if he's still in contact with all the guys, and he kind of insinuated that he really wasn't. But Terry, you know, Terry was a big part of A Million Vacations, right? And he had a hit. So.
Hike with Mike. I remember listening to some Canadian bands back in the early 80s, a band called Helix and a band called Toronto. Oh, totally.
Helix in Toronto. Toronto, as far as I know, I think they're still going, yeah. Helix certainly is, because I'm friends with their lead singer on Facebook.
Your brother hopped on, hey, hope it's not snowing too much. So.
Hey, Charles. I got the best brother in the world, so there.
Spacey says, glad to see you two again. It's been a while since I caught a live one. Nice to have you.
We've all been a little busy, haven't we? With Christmas and storms and COVID and shots and boosters, and we got all that stuff. The only one in this house who doesn't have a booster is our son. But he's young and strong, and he's 18.
And it's nice because here in New Brunswick, as of this coming Monday, anyone 18 plus is eligible for their booster. So we were pleased. It was supposed to be not till like in February, so they've obviously gotten a lot further on that, which is good.
I'll keep getting a booster if I'd rather have a booster than die. You know, like I said, I'm going to be 62 in a few weeks. I'm healthy. I don't have any underlying issues. Shannon has an autoimmune disease, so do our daughter. We don't want them to get it. Shouldn't have those chips. Heartburn.
John says, talking about old rockers, I have ran into Ronnie Rice of the New Colony 6 twice here in Illinois. Very nice gentleman. Talk like you knew him for years.
See that? Isn't that nice? We love hearing that.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things of hearing. I asked John Halliwell of Supertramp, and I'm not sure where he lives. He's in England someplace. I asked him, I said, well, don't you go down and get a coffee or whatever you drink? And people say, hey. He said, no, they leave me alone. They don't do the, hey, Paul McCartney, remember when you were at the Beatles? He said, they'll ask me a question now and then. But the biggest thing with an artist like that, they want you to be cool. Say, hey, like your stuff. But you don't want to go, I'm such a big fan. Sometimes that will turn, most guys are good about that. Because, you are a big fan. You want to tell them that. But if you really want to have a conversation with an artist, I found, because radio guys, we have to be cool backstage. We can't be a fan because we're introducing the band. We'd go, how's your flight in? Is it okay? Are they treating you okay? And then they warm up to you right away.
ZXR92, I wish you were back in the West. I have to try and grab these live feeds at work.
Oh, yeah.
It's a time difference.
Yeah.
Even for us here too, we're always like, okay, so there's, from where we were, the 3 hours time difference, we're like, okay, so instead of going at 6, do we go at 9?
She wanted to go on 9. Yeah, she wanted to go on at 9, and I just said, I'm not sure if I'm going to do some shoveling tonight. Probably not. The guy next door, actually, our new neighbor, Alan, he's from Newfoundland. He's such a cool guy.
Super nice.
And, he's got this ATV with the big scoop thing, a shovel thing in the front. And the other day, Shannon runs downstairs and says, Alan's doing our yard. And I was actually ready to go to an interview, or I don't know what I was doing. And I couldn't go up to say hi to him, but then I ran into him and say, man, what a nice thing. People are so nice in this neighborhood. It's insane.
And John's like, yeah, run out and go say hi. Yeah, not my house coat.
She was in her house coat.
No thanks.
You and your house coat look way better than me in anything, so.
Like with Mike, ever interview Honeymoon Suite, I always liked their sound back in the 80s.
Did last year. Just go into Rock History Canada.
Me too.
Go into Rock History Canada and you'll see, and just scroll down, you'll see an interview I did with Derry from the band, and his daughter is so talented. I interviewed her as well so Rock History Canada. That channel needs your love. If you're a Canadian, because that channel's not making money yet because it just doesn't have enough hits. It has enough subscribers, but it doesn't have enough hits yet. So, and we need to pour a little bit of money in that and get that rolling. We didn't do that with this channel, interesting, because the rules are different now. When we did this channel, people were dying left, right, and center. And I went, should I do obituaries? I don't know if I want to do obituaries, but Shannon says, when you do them at work, you do these kind of things at work. So I went, okay, Maurice White died. And I went, okay, we're just getting going. And I had a few other channels I was fooling around with, and finally, and then things just took off. I'd have something obituary, and I'd get 100,000 hits. That doesn't happen anymore. That's not that kind. It's not the world we live in anymore. But I still do them because out of respect for the artists. So really, I don't do them for money because I don't really get a lot of hits from the obituaries.
Wanda says, please do another interview with Shem von
Schreck, yeah.
To see what he's been up to since leaving Toto. Apparently not on good terms.
Nope, they're not. I found out from both parties. I'm not going to go into it. I respect Luke and I respect Shem, and they're just going different directions. But Shem's nice. Every time I get a hold of Shem, within 5 minutes he'll get back to me and say, "Hey man, how's it going, Joe? What's going on?" He invited us to Calgary for a show. See, that's not weird. I was thinking that we were still in Calgary the other day when I went, "Oh, maybe Shem will redo these dates and we'll get a chance to actually see him in person again." And I went, wait a minute, we're not in Calgary, we're in Moncton now. We're across the country. Shem's one of my favorite people. And Luke's one of my favorite people to interview. Luke, bar none, always does well. Because Steve Lukather is one of those guys who's straight to the point. He says it. He's been there. He knows it.
Carrie Crouch says, hi from Detroit.
Hey, Carrie.
Hi, Carrie. And Ruben says, Carl Dixon, Andy Curran, and Steve Shelsky.
Yeah. Oh, Carl. I just talked to Carl before Christmas.
Carl went on to play with Rick Emmett.
They're intertwined with all these people. But anyway, Carl had some major medical issues and slowly bounced back. But I asked him before Christmas. I said, Carl, let's do an interview. Got to do an interview. He says, yeah, of course, get a hold of me. And I completely forgot. Nothing against Carl. It was just that the holidays I didn't do a lot.
Surfer Boy, I was an avid closet listener. I love Dava.
I love ABBA. They're
Me
on my
too.
wall as well.
They're like, yeah, a big
ABBA's
part of my
ABBA's ABBA. What?
childhood.
Oh, the last two albums I didn't like. I was in radio by then. What is it? Super Trooper. What's the other one? Voulez-vous? Last two albums out. ABBA albums. Isn't it Super Trooper and Voulez-vous?
I think it was.
Voulez-vous. See, now I like it. What the hell's wrong with me?
Carrie Crouch, my favorite couple on YouTube.
Aw.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Listen.
I always tell Shannon, I says, we should get you on camera. We'd make a lot more money if we got you on camera. Like a lot more money.
I enjoy
Mind
it.
you, some of the comments are, as you can imagine.
Lucinda says Verdine White from Earth, Wind and Fire
Verdine White, yeah.
would be a great interview. He
Yes.
started the band with his brother Maurice.
Yeah. Great. Yes. That's, okay, I'll look into it. I've also got Jeff Coffey, speaking of that, because Earth, Wind and Fire in Chicago. I got to talk to Jeff. Jeff and I were just talking before Christmas. He's always a nice guy. He's just such a nice human being. Like he replaced Jason Chef, who I have Jason's phone number now. Jason gave someone I know permission to give his phone number to me so we could set up something. And he's doing that Beatles thing. I think they're on Rubber Soul. Is he doing Rubber Soul? Yeah.
Spacey, hey John, rumor has it you do a great Adele impersonation.
Adele?
I think because you're saying rumor has it.
Oh yeah.
That's funny. That's a good one.
I hate that song. I hate Rumor Has It.
Good one, Spacey. That is good.
That's like ear candy from hell. Like Rumor Has It. Now I'm saying it. Now I'm gonna have it in my head.
Don't get me wrong. She's an amazing.
Oh, we love the show. It's still on the PVR.
It was so good.
Yeah.
That was funny.
You're sneaky.
I'm still laughing on that one. Joy says, how many original members still in Helix? Used to have all 3 cassettes. Do you?
Well, I don't know. Helix had that accident, right? That bus accident or whatever they were driving, and they lost a member. I don't know. I was going to talk, like I said, to was it Brian Vollmer? What's his name? Brian, the lead singer, and something happened. I don't know what. I dropped the ball. Vollman, but I forget his name.
Gatekeeper 65. I loved Helix until they had a good time with my girlfriend at the time in a hotel room in Montreal.
Are you serious? Are you serious? Are you just say yes? I'm serious if you're serious, because if you just say yes, we'll forget what. Yeah, Brian Vollmer. There you go.
David May. Did you see the Anne Murray and the band doc? Both great.
No. Oh my! You guys are awesome.
Wow, you're just bugging them out tonight.
You know, we were looking at artists with hidden talents. I was telling Shannon she'd already finished the 5 that she was doing, and I said when I interviewed April Wine in 2000, I think it was. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it was Jim Clinch who's left the planet now. Their bassist, their second bassist, before Steve Lang replaced him. He was saying, "Oh my God, Anne Murray's a good golfer. She's like crazy good. She beats all of us." I'm like, "What? Anne Murray's a great okay."
Gatekeeper 65 said, "Yep."
Oh, really?
Ouch.
Wow. Okay. I won't ask Brian that question.
John says, I saw Ronnie Rice come into the doctor's office and as I was leaving Dunkin' Donuts.
Where's that?
I said, hey, Ronnie Rice, and started talking.
Where's that? Oh, really? We don't have Dunkin' Donuts here. We used to. They tried it here, but Tim Hortons is so big that they couldn't compete with Tim Hortons.
Surfer Boy, sorry for my forgetfulness. Have you ever talked with Peter Cetera or Robert Lamb?
I was just saying in the car yesterday that I want to talk to Robert Lamb. He's one of my. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
remember?
yours must be burning.
Peter Cetera, we have an interview. Peter's retired now. Peter Cetera, we have an interview from Peter. If you look up under Rock History Music, there's I think an 8-part series of us talking. It wasn't me. It was Steve Burgess gave me all his interviews. A cohort used to be my best friend. But one day he just said, I had talked to him quite a few years. And he said, John, I have to get rid of my interviews. I'm getting rid of everything. Do you want my files? I went, no, we got the internet now. I don't need the files. I should have taken them. I wish I would have taken them. But he said, "Do you want my interviews?" And I said to Steve, and I'm sorry for the people who've heard this. I've said it many times. I said, "Steve, you can't just give me interviews." He said, "Well, I don't want to. I'm not going to charge you anything for it." And I said, "Well, you know, if you give me your interviews, you give me your interviews. They're mine. I know it's your voice interviewing all these people." He said, "No, that's fine." And so he interviewed Peter Cetera when he was releasing his second album, which to most people was his first album when he left Chicago. And he talks about Chicago quite bluntly, but not disrespectfully. It was a really good interview. But anyway, look up Peter Cetera on this channel and you'll find. Sorry, my neck needs to be cracked.
Laura says, "Hey, there's quite a bit of snow out there. You don't want to shovel that by hand, LOL. How are you guys doing tonight?" She's in Riverview, New Brunswick.
Oh, you're in Riverview?
She is. Hop, skip, and a jump.
What? Did it show up that we were here when you came on, or are you just a regular? I'm just curious if more Moncton listeners, because we don't say we're in Moncton, but we should. Wow, someone in Riverview. We looked at houses in Riverview.
We did.
What's your name?
Laura LeBlanc.
Laura LeBlanc. Okay.
Jeff Hansen said, "Hey, John and Shannon, gotta run. Nice to see you again." He's probably stepped off. James says, "Hello, John and Shannon." Ruben says, "Rick Santers of Santers Triumph would be good."
There's, you know what? When we're done now, let me write that down. When we're done now, we always make a list, and Shannon checks it twice. What the hell's going on?
Steve Morris is always a good interview.
I tried when Dixie Dregs got back together. I tried, and they never got back to me. I think that was quite a few years ago when they were doing the reunion shows. Yeah, he'd be, well, of course, his association with Deep Purple. Go on, Shannon. Alice Cooper.
Meatloaf and Michael Bolton, all great golfers.
Oh, nice to know.
I knew Alice Cooper. I was reading that up, and I knew that he was
that right?
an avid golfer.
I did not know
but
that.
I didn't know about Meatloaf and Michael Bolton.
I haven't voiced those yet, so I forgot who you put on there.
Elliot says, "Hi, John and Shannon. Greetings from New York. Wolfgang Van Halen would be a great interview.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
playing February 2nd, 2022 at the Starland Ballroom in New Jersey."
That'd be a great interview. The thing with him you'd have to be careful is, and I always do this if I've got those pink elephant questions, because you can't talk to Wolfgang unless you talk about his dad, and you want to get some sound bites about his dad, and Wolfgang probably knows that. I always there's certain people that sometimes I wonder why, you know, like Jonathan Cain was really good because he knew I had to ask him about Steve Perry and what's going on in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and what that vibe was like with Steve there not performing. But I waited till the end, and you chance it. You kind of try to get a rapport with the person, and Wolfgang would be like that. You try to kind of get a rapport with him first, you know, and then you go in. Then you go in for the zinger.
Ryan says, "Do you remember when Steve Morse was with Kansas?"
Yeah. Oh no. Do I remember that? I don't know if I remember that. No, I don't. For whatever reason, I don't.
John says, "How about an interview with Chuck Sneed from Three Dog Night?"
Oh yeah.
He's one of the most underrated drummers.
He
He's
is.
also getting up in age.
He's getting up in age. I think he's. Well, they're all. And now there's. Chuck Negron I interviewed, and I tried to get him because I interview a lot of drummers. I'm not sure what happened. I don't think I heard back because a lot of the times, you know, I deal with maybe 10, ask me tomorrow, I'll say 15 different publicists. And sometimes if I don't know the number to a certain person, I'll say, "Who's the gatekeeper for so-and-so? Do you know the gatekeeper?" I know you don't. And they always say, unless I know them well. And after these years, I'm starting to know them all pretty well. They know what I mean. They're not going to say, "Oh, we don't handle that person." And they know that I know they don't handle that person. But they'll go, "Oh, that's Joe Lunchbucket from Kubla Khan."
Lux says, 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s. What's your favorite music era?
What is yours?
Ooh, 80s. And what would yours be?
Oh, 70s, even though I'm starting to get into, thanks to Spotify, I know it's bad for musicians, but for a guy like me, even though my MP3 library and my music library in general for LPs and CDs and cassettes is pretty big, with Spotify, I'm going back to albums that I didn't listen to enough. Yes, albums. Well, the Genesis stuff I'll listen to quite a bit, but just bands that I should know. Some of the Kansas stuff, you know, after Monolith, because after that I didn't. I kind of. Oh, look, we got the screensaver now. Beautiful scenery.
Lucinda says, if you want a contact for Steve Morse, I might be able to help. We're both pilots and his plane is just a few hangars down from mine in Florida.
Oh my God! Boy, you are helpful tonight. Again,
look at that little golden nugget there, hey?
That's crazy. Yeah, I'd love to talk to him. In the About section, which is, I think, that you look up on the far right, my email address is there. It's just johnbeaudin@icloud.com. Just email me. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Maybe a good interview.
Scarmody 100. Hi to you both. Have you ever interviewed?
Oh, Jim Pederick, yeah.
From
Survivor.
From
Odds of March. Yeah. No, I haven't. Another one that's on the list. There's, see, look how long it is. But there's 20. I have a list of 20 of sort of people that I should have. Just they're not. What's the name of the word? Oh, it'll come to me. There's these artists that record labels would have on their label, prestige artists. That's the word, because they were great artists and they should be on a major label before they started selling. Some of them never did sell, but some of them sold and they're kind of out of the limelight. So that's my 20. So, and I've got a bigger list. That's why long-windedly.
Gary says, hello, John Shannon. Good day from Queensland, Australia. Love your channel, mate. Great interviews with no prejudice or judgment from you. Love to meet you and your family someday in Yak.
Yeah, we always say, wouldn't it be cool? We would never do this, but Shani always says, I remember we were flying here. She looks at me and she says, you know, with the channel, you could probably stay with, if it was just you and you'd love to do this, because you like talking about music, have someone in every city where you could stay with them and they, you know?
Totally.
And in some cases they wouldn't want me, they'd want Shannon to come over and just, you know, hang out. But seriously, we probably have that. We never, I know, we never do that with a family. Hey, can you put us all four up?
And
we're not looking for a free hotel.
And a dog.
Remember the Jim Gaffigan story about traveling at Christmas? You ever look up Jim Gaffigan, Christmas travel or staying with friends? I think it's called Staying with Friends. Oh my God, it's so funny. It's just funny.
Have you ever tried to interview Paul Stanley from Ryan?
I don't think so. I don't think I've tried to. Someone just said no judgment. I once was a little disrespectful to Kiss, and I kind of regretted it by doing that. But yeah, anyway, I used to love them.
Keith says, really enjoyed the Cassim Sultan interview. You get the best stories from folks. It's obvious that you do your research.
Thank you very much. I did a lot of research on him, especially because I had a few friends who love him way more and know him a lot more than I do. They were bigger Utopia fans. I knew he was on Bat Out of Hell. I never really owned that album in high school, but everyone I knew owned it. And we'd be at a party, and you ever get this? After a while, you'd be at a party, and I was a shy kid. I was a music guy, which was great. So people always asked me about music. And I played hockey, so I had a crew of people. Most of them didn't like me because I was an average player. But I was still awkward at parties, and you'd pick up an album, right? You know, because you didn't have cell phones back then to look at. Pick up an album and check it through, you know, because if you're at a party, the music's right there.
Laura says, I have been here before chatting with you guys. I've been following your channel for a few years. Great interviews. It's her husband Pete. So in Riverview, Laura's husband Pete.
We should raise a glass when this COVID thing is over. So the four of us should get together. You know what? We don't know a lot of people in Moncton. We haven't, and we're just talking to some neighbors who said,
there's a lot of invites to come over after kind of COVID settles for barbecues, which is really...
That's really nice. But listen, we should, again, get my email at the About page, and I'd love to... I was talking to a neighbor way down the road the other day, and And he was another guy who said, you don't look familiar. I said, well, I moved here from Calgary, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, he was telling me that he used to work in the mill and he loved it and he's retired. And then he said, so like, did you get a job coming here from Calgary? I said, well, actually, I work from my home, right? Because I ask artists all the time, okay, you're in a doctor's office, someone's beside you, because you can change the energy in a room real fast by saying, oh, I'm a rock star. Well, I'm not a rock star, but if they ask me too much and I go, well, who have you interviewed? And there's a part of me that just goes, okay, if I say too much, you got to play it down. Not that it's just the most elegant job in the world, but the second you start going, so the neighbor says, well, I said, well, I work on my home. So what do you do? I said, well, I'm a broadcaster. Oh, what kind of radio? What station do you work for? I said, well, I actually work for a radio station in Vancouver. And they'll look, what? You're on the other side of the country. And I said, well, actually, I used to live in Vancouver. Then I moved to Calgary and I continued it. And then so they're interested in that. And I said, a lot of times they'll go, does that pay enough? I said, well, actually, I do YouTube videos as well. And that's all our income. That's it, those two things. And then they'll go, well, have you interviewed anybody I know? And you have to be really careful and then kind of shut it down. And then realize, I've talked to artists about this. They do the same thing. And then say, if they're more interested, they'll ask questions, but don't say too much. Because A, they'll think you're showing off. They won't be able to relate to it. They don't know what to say. Or unless they're a real rock and roller, like a lot of you, and they'll say, hey, what was he like? Or something like that.
Or unless they're a huge fan of someone that you've interviewed.
Yes.
Then it could go on.
Yes.
It could go on forever.
Yes, thank you. So you just gotta work. But so many people say, I forget the artist that told me, he says the energy, it just sucks the energy out of the room the second you do that. Some of you might know who that was. You just said, you just can't, because I always say, well, what do you say when people say, what do you do for a living? And they always come up with very similar things.
Art Matters. Hey, Art, happy
Art.
New Year to you all. New Scorpions album, Rock Believer. So stoked. Channeling my inner youth.
There's a lot of, it's every single year, at this point you go, oh, there's going to be albums from this person or that person. And it sparks my interest to listen to new music. Not that I don't always do, because we get a lot of downloads. What will happen is a record company will send us a stream or a download link for a new album. And whether they're doing interviews or not, they're hoping we review it. I don't do reviews anymore because they take too long. For me to write a review that sounds like I'm not a freaking idiot, I have to put so much work into it. It's crazy. I have to work at being smart.
Melody says Darby Mills would be a good interview.
I've interviewed her. Yeah, I've interviewed her. We're going to do another interview. Look under Rock History Canada and the other channel. And there's a link to, she's very honest about leaving the head pins. I just talked to her before Christmas, wished her a good year, and Darby's really nice. She gets back to me right away. She is a darling and one of my favorite interviews of all time. Love the woman. I think she's a nice lady.
Donald Fagen would be an interesting interview.
Never get him. I don't think I could get him. I'd love to interview him, but I don't think. Dominic Triano's brother, the great guitarist from Canada, who joined the Guess Who near the end of their incarnation when Burton Cummings was still with them. He wrote a book on his brother, and I think his name is Frank. And Frank's told me that Steely Dan were trying to get Dominic to play on some of their music. And in some ways he was his own worst enemy. But anyway, I'm interviewing him this week. Probably not this week. It's going to take me a little while to run through this book. What they do is when we interview authors, they send us a PDF. And that's usually what they do. Or else later on they'll send me the hardcover, which is really nice.
Pulsar is asking, hey, do you still have stacks of old albums in the basement or attic? Basement. Many of them.
Well, just two. That's a 75-inch TV. Maybe about, if you cut that in half, 2 rows of that. Maybe, yeah, that's about as much albums I've got. I gave a lot to my brother.
I was going to say, you sifted through a lot and gave quite a few.
My brother loves stuff like that. Charles loves good music, and he loves trinkets, and he has a man cave. It's important to him too. He was like one of my best friends growing up. He was always He's a good man.
Pookie says, how about an interview with Richie Rano of Stars?
Oh yeah, just talking to a few people about Stars the last couple of weeks. So, you know, the underrated band, which made me go on Spotify and listen to them again. I went, yeah, I remember that song. Yeah, it's a great idea actually.
And Elliot jumped in. I'm friends with Richie.
Oh, is that right?
Good call, Pookie, to do that.
Hey, can you, if you can, on the about page of this channel, top right hand side, my email's there. So if you can hook me up, that'd be great. They're a band. I'm doing a thing on insanely underrated bands, which I think Stars was. So I'd like to, you know, do a series with him for sure. Yeah.
And Barry says, nice shirt.
Thank you. Bought in Vancouver. What's that store that we like so much from North Vancouver? No, that'd be West Vancouver. Technically, that's.
I don't know, but it sure looks good.
That's West Vancouver. The mall. You know what's the name of that mall?
You were just trying to kind of match with me, coordinate with me here.
Yeah, there's that French Canadian store. There's one in Vancouver. There's one in Calgary. And I bought it there. They had so many shows. The thing is, with art, with this sort of thing, I'm always having to. I learned the hard way. Spending it was on sale. It looks more expensive than it is. Steve Lukather and I talked about expensive shirts. I said, "Do you have Robert Graham shirts?" He says, "Oh yeah, of course I've got Robert, because Robert Graham is a lot of rock stars will wear Robert Graham shirts. They're over the top. They're really nice. I only had one. She bought me for my birthday. It was like a $250 shirt she got for I think $125." Which I don't have the money for, but we had a good month that month. So anyway, yeah, we shirts. We gotta wind things up.
We do.
We were lucky. Our daughter was having a good night. Oh, look at that nice screensaver back there. Shannon, thank you for coming on with me.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to connect.
Yeah.
I'm always excited to jump on.
So what I'm going to do now is I had to in the last month, I just told myself I'm partying a little too much. So it was just easy. I thought easy with the sauce, but I'll allow myself a couple of beer tonight and then Shannon's going to pretend to drink wine. Because
I did buy a bottle in December.
How long does a bottle last you? How many months?
It hasn't been opened. So probably a good month and a half.
Yeah, that's why I look like a boot and she looks really young. Ooh, nice.
It's always there if I feel like having a glass, right? So probably not tonight.
Shannon at Network. We love you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Always enjoy your time and thanks for joining us.
Take good care of yourself. We'll be back next Friday and of course throughout the week when news breaks, because that's our new format now, so that you know. When news breaks, I'll come on live. I'm just ironing out the format to sort of not go on too much because a lot of you, so we're ironing it out. But when news breaks, we'll come on. See you guys. Love you guys.
Bye.